What's up, guys? So I know this isn't my usual content, and I certainly haven't made a video in quite some time, but since all this crazy Brad Pitt stuff in the news, like I think he's drinking again, and this magazine he just did, like he's kind of back in the human consciousness, I guess you could say. I figured, why not share my Brad Pitt story? It's been 10 years. I think that's long enough. I've never discussed this in public or on my YouTube channel or anywhere really. So let's get into it. And I would also like to, a disclaimer, this is my personal experience with him, working with him. I cannot speak for the allegations against him or the way he acts with other people. This is just my personal experience, so please don't come for me. Okay, so this was in 2017. I used to work for an artist named Thomas Housego. He's from Leeds, England. He's a contemporary artist and he's based in Los Angeles, California. And I was hired as his like personal executive assistant turned nanny, turned studio liaison, turned food runner, turned house manager, turned, you know how it goes if you know LA and these types of jobs. You know, you get hired for one thing, you end up doing everything, which is fine. Thomas, if you're listening to this video, I hope you're well. You are a great boss. It was a great experience, and thank you for the opportunity. With that said, in 2017, we were at the studio, and let me preface this. Thomas has a very huge art studio in East LA, and my office was in that studio, and I was the only female that worked at the studio. There was a bunch of guys that helped Thomas. He built really big sculptures, and my brother was also working. He was helping me out at the studio as well. So you can get an idea as to why the media created this story about me and Brad, because I was the only female there, naturally. So who else are they going to make up a story about? I was at the studio late one night, and I was just kind of making my rounds, doing my thing, and I walk out to the private car park area, which is where Thomas kind of stores and builds these humongous sculptures, and then they're massive, so it's kind of hard to do it indoors at times. And I see three gentlemen standing outside, and as soon as my eyes adjusted, I saw Thomas, and then I was like, is that fucking Brad Pitt, dude? That's Brad Pitt. Oh my God, that's Brad Pitt. And I see this other guy, and I recognize the other guy because I saw him at school pickup and like the kids' activities. So Thomas's kids and his kids went to school together, and so I recognized him from there, but I didn't know who his name or what he was about or anything. Obviously, it turns out he's probably like some producer or director or something because he was friends with Brad, and he introduced Brad and Thomas. I think Brad was looking for a reprieve at that time to just kind of disconnect from Hollywood and create and do some art. And so I think that gentleman thought, you know what, let me introduce him to Thomas. I think they'd be great, could be great friends. And he was right. They became fast friends, Brad and Thomas, instantly. And I will say, first time I saw Brad, I was very alarmed because he was so skinny, like so skinny. I'm assuming he was going through that split with Angelina. I don't know. I didn't get into it. I didn't ask, but I remember he was alarmingly skinny, and it was just like shocking, like, oh my God. He looked like Christian Bale from that one movie or something. I was like, is he getting ready for a role or something? Jesus Christ, he's so thin. But anyway, so I was a little shocked. I never am the type to get freaking starstruck and act crazy, but I just went about my business, saw him, carried on. And then Thomas was like, hey, Kelly, like, come over here. I want to introduce you. He was like, Kelly, this is Brad. Like, obviously. Brad, this is Kelly. She kind of holds it down here at the studio. If you ever need anything or any help or anything, just, let Kelly know. She'll help you. And I was like, hey, Brad, nice to meet you. Welcome. Just playing it cool, whatever. But naturally, I'm fucking freaking out. Like, it's Brad Pitt, dude. And I'm not the type to be all starstruck about famous people. But again, this was 2017. I was a little brainwashed then and very drinking the leftist, liberal Hollywood Kool-Aid. So you could imagine. Anyway, it's Brad Pitt. Anybody would have acted the same way I did. I don't care who you are. He's like a humongous movie star, So whatever. So the next day, I'm in the studio in my little office, and in comes Brad Pitt. He says, good morning, Kelly. Can I get you a coffee this morning? I said, no, you don't need to do all that. Thank you, though. Thank you. Like, I was just, I just tried to shut it down immediately. I just didn't know how to act. Like the whole situation was surreal. And he was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Don't you worry. You just go in there and piddle around in your art. Like, I'm good." He was like, "All right." So the next day, "Can I get you a coffee?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Kelly, just fucking take a coffee. It's Brad Pitt. Like, just take the damn coffee." I was like, "No, no, no, don't worry. It's fine. Thank you." And eventually, I was like 2 or 3 days, 4 days went by, and eventually he just came in. He's like, "Here's your coffee," with my name on it. And I was like, "Oh my God. Brad Pitt just got me a coffee and he's got my name on it. He knows my name. Oh my God. This is crazy. I'm never throwing this coffee cup away ever." Insane. Um, so it turns out he was buying everybody in the studio coffees, and eventually, instead of going around getting everybody's order, he brought in just one of those catering mug, like box things, so everybody could just kind of have coffee. And can I tell you, he was just so cool. He was just so lovely, so humble, very kind, just treated us all as peers. He wasn't like barking orders like, "Give me this," like acting like a movie star. He was just like, just another one of the guys in the studio. It was really cool. So everything was pretty standard, pretty normal. He came every day. I remember this one time. This was so funny. And again, I told you my brother was working with me, and he's also gay. Just to preface, because this is great. Brad was working on clay sculpture, so he would wear his clothes, his regular clothes, to the studio, and then when he get to the studio, he would change into his clay clothes. And me, him, and Justin were just sitting there shooting the shit one day, talking, and he's just casually, just changing, like talking. He takes his shirt off in front of me and my brother, and can I tell you, we both almost lost our shit. I mean, you remember Fight Club. Well, I saw that in person. I sure did. Yes, I did. Oh, God. Okay, anyway. It was crazy. I mean, again, guys, this does not happen to just anybody. It was such an intimate, personal work relationship we had. You know what I mean? It was just crazy. It was a perfect scenario to, like, be hanging out with Brad Pitt. Anyway, all was good. Everything was chill. And then I say like a week it was quiet. And then all of a sudden the media started picking up on him being at the studio. And I'm assuming they probably followed him there because he did drive his car. And it just started getting really crazy. I was getting buzzes on the door constantly. It was like Entertainment Tonight, like Daily Mail. And they were very aggressive. These journalists, paparazzi people, very aggressive, like psychotic, very unhinged. And it was like, whatever. I was like, no comment, just go. I would just shut the door, but like, leave us alone, whatever. And it was just a thing until it started affecting me and my personal life. And again, I was married at the time. I'm no longer married. And my husband thought it was awesome. He was like, "Holy shit, this is so cool. Like, crazy. Like, you're being linked to Brad Pitt. Like, my wife is linked to Brad Pitt." He thought he was just the coolest guy ever. But I got a call from my stepdad who lives in Alaska, who I haven't spoken to since I was probably 16, which is wild. He says, "Hi, Kelly. This is your stepdad, Russell. So I just got a call from Star Magazine." I was like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah," basically asking me if I was dating you. And he said, "Last I heard, she was married. I haven't spoke to her. I don't know what's going on. So I cannot confirm or deny, but that's all I got." And they were very aggressive with him. And they told him if he didn't give them some sort of something like information, that they were going to run the story the next day that I was dating Brad Pitt. So he called me and told me that. And naturally, I freaked out because I didn't want my boss or Brad to think that I was running my mouth talking all this smack about Brad and whatever, because I wasn't. I didn't say anything. So I immediately went to my boss and I told him, and I was like, "Listen, I'm so sorry. I don't know how this happened. I don't know what this is about, but they're saying that me and Brad are dating and they're going to run this story tomorrow." And I'm just like, oh, like freaking out. And he was like, "Don't worry. It's okay. Calm down. It's fine." So I guess Thomas went and told Brad. And the next day, Brad came into my office like a gentleman and said, "Hey, dude, I'm sorry. I heard about this thing with the whatever." He was like, "This is my life, and I'm really sorry you're getting dragged into it. But only thing I can tell you is just ignore it. And if it continues, let me know, and I'll take care of it." And I was like, "Oh, Brad, you're so sweet. Thank you." And I did. I ignored it. However, it was intense, like they were following me. They were taking pictures of me. I was looking like a troll from under the bridge. Like, The ugliest pictures of me ever. I don't even know where these people were hiding. I never saw people around. And there were pictures of me all on the internet and stuff. The fact that they linked me to Brad Pitt looking like that after Angelina Jolie. I mean, how insulting for Brad, truly. I mean, that's just insane. I was like so fat. I was so pale. I was miserable. I was just working my ass off. I was stressed. And to think that, I mean, that poor man, as if he hadn't been through enough, now he's linked to a plus size model, a washed up plus size model. Anyway, it was just crazy. I was like slightly embarrassed for him. But now most of the internet is scrubbed from that whole story about me and Brad, but there's like one or two articles or whatever. But anyway, none of it was true. It never happened. I never dated Brad. We were never cozying up with Art Studio, and I was not helping him get over Angelina or whatever the hell these people were talking about. But it was just crazy because they would harass me on social media and call me and say, just tell me anything. What is your favorite Brad Pitt movie? I got to make my BMW car payment this month. Just tell me one thing. I need one thing. I need one article. And I was like, no, dude, I'm not saying anything. Like, no comment, no comment, no comment. Never said a word. And you know what? We had a great working relationship. I remember one time I was like wasted, drunk. It was like a Friday night. I was off work and I had to go back to the studio for something. And I had been partying with my friends. It was my birthday. And I remember I walked in the studio and there was Brad, poor thing, and me, a little wasted, a little tipsy. And I was like, Brad, what's up? I was like, it's my birthday. And he was like, oh shit, it's your birthday. That's awesome. Happy birthday. Like, he could have been, okay. My phone lost storage because my phone's so old and I refused to get a new one. So anyway, so I was drunk, acting a fool, and he was still lovely, very nice, very kind. Like, happy birthday! Did you get any cool presents? I was like, I got a guitar. Like, hell yeah! And again, just so nice. And he could have been a total dickhead, I mean, I probably would have if it was me. Just saying. But anyway, and then I ended up deciding to quit. And I went to Honduras for a while, and I wrote him an email, and poor thing, he probably had to change his email after I wrote him an email. I was like, Brad, it was so great working with you and your crew, like his assistant, it was great, his security, they were all super cool. I was like, I wish you well. It was a great time, like, take care, whatever. I'm going to Honduras, like, I'm going to go, like, spread my wings, get the hell out of LA. And he wrote me back, and he was like, Kay. He called me Kay. He was like, so great meeting you, and working with you too. All the best to you. Good luck. And that was it. And so I never thought I would ever see Brad Pitt again, obviously. And then I came back from Honduras, and my friend who worked at a record label, she was like, hey, you want to go to Beck's album release party with me at La Poubelle tonight? And I was like, sure, why not? Like, why not? So, and La Poubelle, if anybody knows in LA, it's like super small. It's like a tiny little place. And so, sure enough, we walk in. I shit you not, right when I walk in, there's Brad, Thomas, and Muna, which is Thomas's ex-girlfriend. And they were like a trio. Those three were always together. And I was like, wow, I'll be damned. What are you guys doing here? They're like, Kelly, oh my God. It was so great catching up. And again, so nice. I basically talked to Thomas. Honestly, don't even know if Brad recognized me, to be honest, because I'm sure he meets a bajillion people every day. But it was just a really surreal experience. And I just thought I'd share. Like, I could literally write a book with the stuff I've experienced throughout my life. Again, I'm 42. I've lived Miami, New York, LA. I've worked for some really powerful people and interviewed with some really crazy. I could write a book. I could come on here and give a story a week, and people would just like their jaw would be on the ground. But you know what? I've had a great life. Very grateful, but I'm very grateful for where I'm at now and all the stuff that I've learned over the last 6 years, and like removed myself from a lot of that world. And I'm just grateful, and I'm really grateful I got to meet Brad, and I had such a great experience. So yeah. All right, that's it. I hope you liked the story.